vertical integration is essentially the claim that you can do it more cheaply in-house than you can outsourcing something. Hi, I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 28 years.
I'm Elly, the Vice President of Microcosm. We started this podcast to share what we've learned with newer publishers, so you can learn from our mistakes. Or maybe you just want to learn about the publishing industry.
This week, we answer a reader question, which is, what is vertical integration?
Ooh, good one.
That's when you stand up and you don't bump your head into anything.
Says the tall person.
Well, I mean, I would be one to know. I have to vertically integrate to all kinds of environments.
Okay, but what is vertical integration in like a business context?
Oh, again, you really need to be specific with these questions, everyone. But vertical integration is when you control multiple verticals within your industry.
What are verticals?
Verticals are, let's look at the typical example that people seem to talk about in vertical integration is two dependent industries that are corralled separately. So in publishing, well, no, let's look at for an airline, it's fuel, because fuel prior to the pandemic, when there's now a shortage of pilots, because we apparently subsidize all those pilots to keep their jobs, and then they all, whatever. Anyway, I'll get over that one day. But so fuel is like harvested, pulled out of the ground, refined, turned into jet fuel, and then it's bought, and that's like a premium product because you need to have it. What are you going to do? Be an airline without a supply of jet fuel? So in one example, they bought the company that makes the jet fuel, and this was not a great proposition for them. And whereas in publishing, it's usually thought of as your verticals are, publishing, which is thought of as like editorial and development and marketing. Printing, which is like taking those files and, it's all the production and stuff. And then giving you books. And then distribution, which is like sales, warehousing, returns, reporting, invoicing,
fulfillment.
Yeah. And so usually those are three separate verticals for a publisher that's under $1 million, under $5 million, honestly, anymore in the United States in 2024.
So what do we mean when we say Microcosm is vertically integrated? It
means we handle more aspects of those things than most publishers, so in our case, it means even when we had a trade distributor, we still did some component of our own distribution. We always handled a certain number of independent stores.
We did fulfillment in-house.
Yeah, we had our own invoicing system.
So a lot of people, I think, assume that without even knowing the term vertical integration, but also when they see that, assume that we do our own printing, which we don't do.
Right.
Like, why don't we own a printing press here at Microcosm?
Because the nature of that business is more like jet fuel, where it's so different that it makes sense to somebody that doesn't work in the industry. But then as soon as you think about all the things that would be involved in that, you have a lot more staffing concerns, you have a lot more supply chain concerns, you have a lot more space, warehousing, geographic, freighting concerns.
We got a sales pitch from like a very compelling sales pitch from a photocopier company that sells print-on-demand printing presses. We did kind of consider it, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, the thing that broke it is they just kept insisting on having meetings, and they could never just send information. And if not for that, we probably would have gone for it, So, spoiler alert to you salespeople out there.
Just send us the information we need.
We do not need to have 6 meetings, even if the thing is expensive.
Yeah. What do you think that would have been a good decision if we had done it?
it could have gone either way. I mean, and they were, like, their point was really that we would pay a lot more attention to how much black was on each page. When printing, because then ink would become our cost rather than, staff time to set up a page build. And, because essentially now the way it works is, like, we pay the same if the page is blank as we do if the page is, like, just a complete black flood,
Right.
And so their point was that we would start paying more attention to those things, and this would probably affect our design choices. And, it's hard to say. It's like, for some publishers, it makes perfect sense to control their own printing. Like, it would be a no-brainer. And for others, and we featured Blackstone on the press in 2024 in February, I think, and they were great. And it really shocked me how much vertical integration they have.
Yeah. Yeah, like they have their own printing facilities and recording facilities for audiobooks and all of that. I guess we have our own recording facilities right here in Little Does the World Know, we're in a sound studio in the back of Joe's office at the Microcosm building.
But we don't have any printing equipment in here, and that's why you can hear me talking right now.
That's a good point.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.